Welcome everyone. It's Wednesday and that means it's time for me to do a follow-up on the 12 questions video that was done on Saturday here on OTRS Central. I do this series every week where I ask you a series of 12 questions about a particular topic. You're welcome to give me your feedback, your comments below, and then come Wednesday I do a follow-up talking about your answers and giving my thoughts as well. And this past Saturday's questions video was 12 questions about Dixie Carter, and I've got your answers and some of my own. So let's get going. Number one, do you like or respect Dixie Carter? Many of you said you didn't really particularly like her. Some of you said that you respected her. Some of you said you did not like her and did not respect her. Number two, what would you say are her biggest successes? Some of you pointed out that she got TNA on Spike TV, that in spite of everything, she's been able to keep the company afloat for over 12 years now. And I'll say this in terms of number one, I have you know, some form of like for Dixie Carter. I don't like, worship the ground she walks on or anything like that, but I don't think she's a terrible individual. And I think that she legitimately actually does care about professional wrestling, even if she doesn't always know how to go about showing it the right way. I don't know if I respect her a great deal as a businesswoman, but she's not an incredibly evil individual. She's not a mean spirited individual from what I've seen. And I'd say her biggest successes are getting TNA on Spike TV, getting them primetime national cable television for 2 hours every week, keeping the company afloat. Those are some good successes. What would you say are her biggest failures? And that was number three. And the majority of you pointed to bringing in Hulk Hogan and Eric Bischoff. And, I have to say that reign, that tenure that lasted a long ass time, did not exactly go that well for TNA, I will grant you. Number four, why does she get the criticism, hate that she does? I frankly thought more of you were going to sit there and say maybe it's because she's a woman, because she isn't somebody that was born into professional wrestling, spent her career in professional wrestling. I was surprised I didn't get more comments about that. Some of you said, well, because she's in charge. And I think that's legitimate sometimes. She's ultimately the face of the company at the end of the day. So when things aren't going well, she's going to get criticism. She oversaw a lot of the changes to TNA, and a lot of them you didn't think were positive. She's overseen a lot of bad decisions, and I agree with a lot of those things. Number five, do you feel all the criticism is justified? And mostly for you, yes. And I think some of the criticisms that she gets are 100% merited and deserved. I think sometimes it's too easy to criticize her and never give her any props or never mention any of her successes when there have been some. So I think it's important sometimes to remember that. Number six, this was interesting. Do you think she loves the wrestling business or just being around it? And a lot of you agree with me that I think she loves being around it more than she loves the business, but she has developed a love for professional wrestling. Number seven, if you were Dixie Carter, what is the first thing you would do? This was relatively in the majority when most of you said fire creative. Well, they're getting a little better, it seems like, at least recently. But yeah, some of the creative vision and direction of TNA has been very lacking, frankly, I think, since the company first came into being in 2002. Number eight, what could she do to make TNA better? A lot of you mentioned stop going with older stars, stop bringing in other people's rehashes and retreads, and focus on building new stars. And I agree in both of those areas. I don't have a problem with having a Kurt Angle here and a Bully Ray here and a Jeff Hardy there. I don't have a problem with having a few of those guys in the mix. But, for several years, it's always been push those guys to the moon at the sake of everybody else, and that's just a little bit ridiculous. Focus on you. Build yourself some new stars in your image. It's better for your company short term and long term, in my opinion. Number nine, would you want her running your business? And a lot of you said no, and I probably would agree with you on that one. I'm sure she's a nice woman, and I'm sure she cares and has a passion for it, but that in no way, shape, or form means that she's well suited to run my business or your business. So I would agree with you. Number 10, I was wondering what type of responses I was going to get. From 1 to 10, how would you grade her overall job performance? The range was anywhere between a 1 to a 4. With a couple, I think, of 5s and 6s mixed in. Not a lot of really great grades, and nor does she really deserve the great grades. If I had to give her a grade, I'd probably go somewhere in the 4 to 5 category, yeah. Number 11, do you think she'll ever be able to take TNA to the next level? And a lot of you answered no, and I have to agree at this point in time. They've talked about it so much. They kept sitting there every 6 months to a year and saying they're going to a new level, and they never go to a new level. And I just question at this point in time if TNA has the leadership, the vision, the infrastructure, the direction to be able to actually try and go to the next level. When I say next level, I'm not talking necessarily about competing with WWE or trying to sit there and, become the competitor of competitors to them. I'm talking about simply taking your 1.0 rating and getting it to be a 1.5 every week, a 1.8 every week. That to me at this point would take TNA to the next level. Getting 1,000 people to show up to a live event as opposed to struggling to get 200 to a lot of them. That to me would be taking TNA to the next level, and I'm not sure that they have the ability to do so at this point. And the last question, if you could talk to Dixie about TNA, what would you say? I think a few of you were implying that you would want to try and get in her panties and fuck her. Can't particularly blame you there. Some of you sat there and talked about some of the other things that were mentioned earlier. Talked about wanting her to establish an identity for TNA, have them be unique, be themselves, don't be a WWE copy, don't be a WWE imitation. A lot of interesting answers to question number 12. Like I said, there were a few of them that seemed to imply either directly or indirectly that they wanted to have sex with Dixie Carter, and I'm not going to begrudge you for that. So again, thanks to all of you that gave me your thoughts, your feedback on the 12 questions about Dixie Carter. Hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you're enjoying this series. Coming up Saturday will be another 12 questions video, and I think it's going to be about SummerSlam 2014, so stay tuned for that.